Welcome everybody. Today we're going to take a look at Turtle Island stoichiometry conversions. This is affectionately referred to as Turtle Time or Turtle Island or Turtle Adventure Time. But really what we're looking at is something that's referred to as the factor label method. And there's a real good chance that you've encountered that in your mathematics classes or perhaps another subject of science. But the long and the short of it is, this is a strategy or this is a method that you can use that'll help you convert from one particular unit to another. So in chemistry and for unit 2, we're primarily looking at going from grams to moles or moles to particles or grams to particles or something like that. But you could use it to go from inches to feet or from meters to kilometers or whatever. So the way that this is set up will help you throughout all of unit 2. And this is basically something that I always refer back to. You're going to be making grids. And one of the things that I'll say an awful lot is, whatever you want has to go in the top right. So what I mean by what you want is, if you're trying to convert into grams, grams has to go there. If you're trying to convert into moles, moles has to go there. Whatever you're given, whether it's grams or moles or whatever you have goes here. And whatever unit this is has to cancel out with the one beneath it to the right. So if this was grams, this is grams. If this is moles, this is moles. If this is tribesmen, this is tribesmen. So we got a cutesy little way of trying to do this with all these cards. Attached to this activity or this lab, you should have these particular cards. And basically the way that this works out, if you read through the remainder of the lab here, is we're trying to have a turtle party. And for this Turtle Fest, we know that there's going to be 375 villagers that are showing up. And we got to figure out, well, how many turtles do we need? So in normal chem, we're dealing with grams or moles or whatever. We can still plug in funsy stuff like this. How many villagers is what we have? We have 375. So that has to be our starting card, and it's going to go in the top left. What we want is how many turtles. So that's going to have to go in the top right. And as we cancel out to make our calculations, whatever's here has to cancel out here. So if you're looking at this and you see that there's a pointy finger here, what should go right here? Pointy finger. I'm not going to draw a pointy finger there because I have a feeling it might look like something else. But nonetheless, if this is pointy finger, that should be pointy finger to cancel out. So you've got all these cards. And if you take a look, there's like solid lines with dashed lines. The way that this is set up is you want to cut on the solid lines. So bear with me while I do that. And if you want to fast forward through this, it's not going to offend me. But I got to get these cards here cut out, and then I'll show you how to proceed. Okay, so cards are snipped out. We're ready to rock and roll. I want to show you how to set this up, and then I'll show you what you have to do with all of those numbers. But the long and the short of it is, again, we're trying to cancel out what we have, so we're left with what we want. And then once we get that set, you multiply all the top numbers across, you get a top number. your numerator there. You multiply all your bottom guys, you're going to wind up getting a number. That's your denominator. Divide those two, that'll be your answer, and whatever you had left at the top right, that would be your unit. So for this particular one, we know that our unit has to be turtles. And we're trying to figure out how many turtles do we need. That's what we want, turtles. So we've got to have something. And again, we know how many villagers are showing up. We got 375. So I got all these cards. How the heck do I get started? I've got this. One party, 375 villagers. So I know that's the one that I'm going to start with. And I know I want to end with turtles. And I know with whatever I want, it's got to go on the top right. So what I'm kind of scrolling through here for is a card that's got turtles at the top. And there's only one of these rascals. It's right there. So that's going to be my last card. So if I've got tribesmen here, I've got to have a card that would have tribesmen there. And I'm looking through, and it looks like there's only one card that would work with, right? Tribesman, tribesman. So if I've got pointy finger here, I got to have pointy finger there. Here's where things get a little bit tricky. I've got two possible cards that could go there. And it turns out, just to make things interesting, there's a couple of cards in here that you won't need. So if I try this one and I'm looking around and I couldn't find a peacock feather down at the bottom, or if I find this one and I'm looking for another tribesman down at the bottom, that's going to kind of guide where I'm at. So I've done this once or twice before, and I can tell you that this is going to be one we're just going to kind of set over here in the don't think we'll need it pile. So if I've got peacock feather up there, I've got to have one with peacock feather down here. And now I've got footprint up here. So I've got to look for footprint down there. And eventually, I got to have this set up to where all the way across, this guy cancels out this guy, and this guy cancels out this guy, and this guy cancels out this guy. So I'm clearly not done here, right? Because I mean, footprint does not cancel out with anchor. So I'm going to need something where this cancels out with that, and everything works out to where it's a wash, and I'm left with turtles up here. And then when I do get to that point, I'm going to multiply all these top numbers, write that down, multiply all these bottom numbers, write that down underneath it, and then when I wind up with basically all those top numbers and all those bottom numbers, and I divide those guys, that's going to be how many turtles I need for this party. So as always, you got questions, concerns, shoot me an email or see me in class. Good luck with your turtle time party.